Yes, sir. The biggest weekend in sports. We've got UFC 300, the best card that we've seen in probably our lifetimes, and it's almost here. 1 day away, one sleep. I got the crew, JBC and Dan, on with me to talk the fights. They're in Vegas. They're going to be there live. I'm fucking jealous. JBC's staring down at me, so I got to go to him first. JBC, what's up, man? How's old Vegas doing?
Good. I'm just, I'm headed to the PFL fights right after this, so it's going to be 2 days of just straight fights, and then Sunday, rent out a cabana to watch the Masters. It's going to be a nice weekend.
God, and the Masters. Dan, you're also in Vegas, not looking down at me as much. I appreciate that, actually. I appreciate you not staring me down from Vegas. But how you feeling today? You ready to talk some fights?
I feel good, man. I wanted to be out on my balcony as well, but I'm like the swimming pool nightclub shit is like right below me, so I think it was a little too loud. But just had brunch at a nice spot from a Taco Bell Cantina right across the street. The finest of dining here in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Nothing I was jealous when JBC wrote in the chat. Apparently, you went to Nobu last night, and Nobu is one of my favorite restaurants down there. So I was pretty jealous when I read that JBC was eating at Nobu last night. So JBC, how was Nobu? I haven't had it in a while.
Good. I mean, it's always just elite, and it's like, like Dan's vegan, so it's like it's good to go to a place where we can all kind of get what we want, and Nobu's got something for everybody. So I really I love it.
Our waiter,
I love that place.
He kept coming up to my seat, and he's like, "Oh, yo, we also have like this vegan thing. Like, you should really get it." We're like, "Yeah, bring it over, man." He like brought over like 3 different things that we didn't even order. It's so good.
He's giving you the hard sell, not realizing that you were like, I don't care. Fuck it. Bring it. Who paid? JBC, did you front the bill? Did you flip the bill? JBC flipped the bill? Did you make him pay?
Me and Sully got the bill.
Yeah, well, this guy, he's drinking like these fancy dragon cum sakis. So, exotic raw meats, dragon cum sake, vegetarian.
I draw the line. I draw the line at dragon cum sakis. I'll tell you that right now. That's where I draw the line.
The waiter was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "The dragon cum,
Yeah, I'm with the waiter here. I
had that guy before too. Elite waiter.
Oh, this guy's asking what vegan does Taco Bell have, Dan? It's the Cantina though. It's the nice Taco Bell, right?
Yeah, I mean you can do vegan. You just don't get like cheese or any of the milk-based sauces and shit. They got like potatoes and beans, and it's good. It's probably like the best vegan restaurant. Well, fast food restaurant.
I was gonna say, are we really going restaurant here? It's fast food.
You're going to the best. We're going to the best vegan restaurant tonight. Tonight we're going to the best vegan restaurant, period. To me, at least.
Yeah.
Which is
Carry
Crossroads,
right?
Resorts World.
It's sick.
All right. Well, I'm not vegan, so I'm good with the no vegan restaurants. But I'll respect Dan's decision to be vegan, and we'll move from there. Have you been vegan your whole life? Have you been vegan like your whole adult life?
No, so I've been like vegetarian as like soft, kind of like on my way to vegan for the last couple of years, and I like just
you slow rolled. You were just like slowly like getting ready. You knew it was going to happen eventually, and now it's there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. Don't forget, everybody, hit the like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. We do have a promo code going right now. You saw it in the graphic, RPS15. If you want 15% off your first month's payment, get in now. Use the code RPS15. They're running a little giveaway too. It runs until Sunday night. So pretty much anyone who subscribes, it doesn't matter what you subscribe for, single sport, full package, whatever. If you subscribe, you get into a giveaway drawing where they're giving away $500 to one member that subscribes, plus some Masters gear. So $500 plus some Masters gear to one member who subscribes. That'll close Sunday night. So you got this whole weekend. If you want to sign up for UFC, we got that as a single sport too. So you can go in just for this card this week and go sign up and check out the package, check out all the content for UFC, all the bets, the Discord for MMA, everything like that. Or if you want to get in there for golf, Masters is going on right now. You're going to have the showdowns, which I assume Sunday's round 4 showdown is going to be pretty big. And you want to get in for that, you can go sign up for golf and get the round 4 showdown for this weekend's, golf. So you can check us out. Baseball's in full swing. You can get them. They just wrapping up a baseball show just before us. So check us out over at Rumpier Sports. RPS15 is the code. With that, we got to get into the fights here, guys, because there's a lot of sick fights on this card. A lot of little, storylines. We got a lot of guys coming back from injury, which I think is going to be a big topic of discussion, because I know, on a lot of those fights, that plays a big factor, and a lot of people kind of the unknown of how these guys are going to look coming back and stuff like that. But, JBC, just a general point on this card. Is there anything that just sticks out to you massively? Is there any, fights you're really worried about, guys coming back from injury that you're really worried about over others?
I mean, it's not an injury, but Kayla, we spoke about it before the show. Kayla Harrison looked like Skeletor on the scales this morning. Her muscle mass is just so much lower than it was when she was fighting in PFL. I'm a little concerned because Holly's been cutting to 135 for a long time and is an equally, Ollie's still pretty big. And so I worry about Kayla, because Kayla's whole game is manhandling people. It's like, is she going to be able to do that with less muscle mass and such a hard weight cut? And I don't know, man. I'm kind of worried about that one.
Yeah, Dan, anything for you? Anything you're worried a little bit about, or anything that just sticks out to you from the fight perspective, a fight that you're just the most anxious for or excited for? What do you got?
I think I'm definitely most anxious for the main event, Hill Pereira. Just because, I'm a big Pereira fan, but JBC seems pretty set that Hill is going to take him to the woodshed. I don't know. The thing about it is it seems like a really fast turnaround off of that injury for Hill. And yeah, I don't know. I think he could overwhelm. We've seen Pereira hurt plenty of times. And I think Hill could just come out and get on top, get all over him. And I would fucking hate that personally. But it's really the one thing I'm most anxious about. I think the Kayla Harrison stuff, on the scales, I try to ignore that stuff pretty much just as a process.
It's tough when she does look like a zombie on that damn scale. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
I just try to ignore it. Yeah, you look at what the line does, but for the most part, I try to ignore the stuff on the scale, because Kayla Harrison, she's also coming from PFL where they make a lot more money. She's made a lot more money. She's got a good team around her.
And she said that too, Dan. She's like, listen, I got a lot of money. Like she pretty much just said, I got a lot of money saved up. I want to win a title. I'm here. I want to take this seriously and be all in and try and win a title. That's definitely her goal. It's not as much the money side of the conversation. So I'll tell you right now, and this is probably a hot take with this whole card, but the biggest storyline is fucking Jim fucking Miller, UFC 100, UFC 200. The man is at UFC 300. That is fucking insane. I love Jim Miller. I can't wait to talk about him, but that is the best storyline. I love that. The man broke out the UFC 100 jacket. That's just crazy to me. But all right, what we'll do here, since it's such a big card, let's just go fight by fight. We'll talk about it from a betting and DFS standpoint. We'll start with the Garbrandt Figueiredo fight, 9,100 for Figueiredo. Garbrandt priced at 7,100. And for me, I think this fight is very straightforward from a DFS perspective. Figueiredo's very low volume. Garbrandt's not super high either, but both are dangerous. Can finish. I think can finish one another. From a DFS perspective, I don't like this fight as much for Figueiredo. I'm kind of lower on him. And to be honest, I'm kind of, the more I look into this fight, I'm kind of leading Cody's side to win. I think Cody's very live to win this fight. He's 7,100, 2 on DraftKings. So I also think he's the better DFS play, just straight up. I think at 7,100, I can take more shots on Cody. But man, Cody's power is real. The only thing that people have to say about Cody, well, there's two things, is, sometimes the IQ, but also the chin. Is it dust whatever. He's looked a little better to me, though, in his last few fights at almost staying kind of measured. And I think he could win this fight here. And I honestly think he's got the power to obviously finish anyone. He's got the speed on the feet. And this is going to be one of those fights, I think, that plays out more on the feet. And I'm going to lean Cody here. I think Cody's got the ability. He's always had the talent. I mean, he's been champion. He's always had the talent. It's just kind of some silly mistakes that he makes. But I'm going to go with he doesn't make the mistakes. He stays measured, and he finds a way to get this done here. I'm going to say by finish. But I think it's going to be a good fight to start the card. Not the best DFS fight, though. I think this could be a bad DFS fight, especially if Figueiredo wins. If Garbrandt wins, like I think, and by finish, it could be better, obviously. But if Figueiredo wins, I don't know if he's going to put out enough volume at 9,100 to beat out the other top-tier studs. So, Dan, I see you shaking your head. Do you agree with me here on Figueiredo as a DFS play?
Yeah, I think Figueiredo, you're going to need like quick win bonus and a knockdown for him to contend with like the other people in his range. We've got like Zhang Willie, Jalen Turner, Justin Gaethje, like I know, like much higher up though, Bo Nickal, even Kayla Harrison. Like he's going to have to do it really fast, which against Cody Garbrandt is totally possible. I think the chin concerns are like very real. You said he's looked better in his last few fights. His last few fights were against Trevin Jones and Brian Kelleher, who are both, not good. Not as good as Figueiredo, who spent like the better part of the last few years, getting in 5-round wars with Brandon Moreno. I think Cody gets knocked out by Figueiredo pretty quickly, but I agree with you on the DFS side that Garbrandt is the better DFS play because he does have power. He can knock Figueiredo out, I think. And, he could pretty much do that at almost any point in the fight and can be a strong contender for optimal. He's definitely one of the cheaper dogs. So I really like him as a DFS play.
Yeah, Figueiredo's power definitely translates too. We saw him stun Rob Font and put him on skates. So I don't worry about that. It's just Cody's got real power too. And Figueiredo, when they're going to trade in the pocket and a couple times. And obviously we think that's where it kind of gets to. The only thing that worries me about Figueiredo, and maybe with the bonuses, it won't, but you watch some of his fights, even when he has guys wobbled, he still stays so calm. He'll have guys up against the fence, or the cage just kind of wobbled, and he'll just pick his shots. He's never rushing in, just trying to just kill someone. He's very, very calm in those points, which I don't love because we kind of need him to get a quick finish here. So we kind of want him to do that.
You bring up a really good point with the bonuses too. And I guess there's also a larger point where it's UFC 300. So I don't know if you guys are putting any stock into everybody is more likely to come out fucking swinging, putting on a show, full bore from the get-go. You're not going to see any fucking pitter patter staring contest,
especially for 3-round fights, especially in 3-round, because 5-round fights, those dudes can get into wars for 5 rounds and be a sick fight and stuff like that. But
yeah.
What do you think Yuri's gonna do when he comes out? It's just and honestly, I to bring it back to this fight, I see the same thing happening here. We talk about Figueiredo being a little more apprehensive, but I think that his power clearly translated to 135. He hits like a fucking truck. Cody Garbrandt cannot take a punch. I think that they just go out there and duke it out in the middle, and Figueiredo knocks him out immediately. So I kind of like him as a DFS play because I firmly believe he's going to win in the first round.
Okay, so you're on the bonus. Oh, I could see the bonus definitely giving him a little more incentive to go out there and throw caution to the wind, I guess. All right, so JBC, you like Figueiredo as a DFS play. I'm assuming Garbrandt you're pretty low on in that case.
That's the thing. I think they're both going to do it. And so Garbrandt being down there with, Moicano and Yan Xiaonan and Holly, Garbrandt's a better play than most of those because I think that he's going to swing. And so if he connects, Figueiredo has a much stronger chin than Garbrandt, but if he goes down, he goes down. All you need is one shot, and Cody's shown us he can do it. So I don't hate Cody as a play for DFS, but I like Figueiredo at the top a lot.
We're also projecting Cody at 13% owned, which at 7,100.
That seems really low.
Yeah, it does seem low. I mean, hold on, let me take a look.
People don't like Cody, though. People don't like Cody.
No
They're
love.
worried about
no
his
love.
chin.
He is washed.
He gets no love. Yeah, he's washed. Yeah.
It's also, it seems low.
I'm just not sold that he's washed. That's my thought. That's fine.
He's
if
not
you think
washed. He's not washed.
Yeah, I don't think he's washed. I think a lot of people do think he's washed, though. That's a good point.
Figueiredo is just a better fighter.
Yeah, well, yeah, but sometimes, sometimes
the
better fighter always wins. So you can say that. I think like Figueiredo too. If this played out like somehow got to the ground, I think that would honestly. I wouldn't do that if I was Cody, to be honest with you, because Figueiredo's ground game is pretty nasty, whether it's off his back or not. So I do think it stays on the feet. But if it did go to decision, I could see it being Figueiredo getting takedowns, honestly, and winning out on the ground, to be honest. He's really tricky on the ground. All right, Bobby Green and Jim fucking Miller here. Jim Miller is a dog. Bobby Green minus 160 here. And I said it before Bobby Green's last fight. People love Bobby Green. I get it. I love what he does in the ring. He's just got that demeanor that people are going to like. He's got a style that people are like, just that don't give a fuck, keep moving forward. He's talking to you. But, man, I knew he wasn't going to beat Turner last fight. Jim Miller, this is a better spot for him, but Jim Miller's just a dog, and I refuse to bet against Jim Miller. I don't care. I get Bobby Green is a good fighter. I think these guys are definitely going to go for that bonus. You talked about it, but like I think Bobby Green, he's definitely going to put on a show. I think Jim Miller is too. So I could see this, kind of finishing out on the feet too, but Jim Miller's got an advantage in my opinion on the ground for sure. But his stand-up game's been getting better. So I like Jim Miller here. I'm going to go with the dog in DFS, and I'm, going to be lower on Bobby Green. I don't think he finishes him. I don't think he finishes Jim Miller like super quick either, if he were to finish him. And I don't think he's going to get like a ton of takedowns. Like, I don't think Bobby Green's going to try and get this to the ground. So I don't know how well he's going to score in DFS at 8,600. And I like other guys in his range a little better. And I think Jim Miller could score really well. However, this play, if he gets a finish, whether it's on the ground or on the feet, I think he could score really well at 7,600. So, yeah, give me Jim Miller to win. I think this fight does go inside the distance too. So I like Jim Miller to finish the Bobby Green here, and I like him a lot for DFS at 7,600. JBC, I'll throw it to you first. Who you got in this fight?
I'm completely opposite of you. I think Bobby Green wins a decision. I do think they'll both come out there and swing, but I don't think either of them really has the pop to put the other one down. So I think the only way the fight ends is, as you were saying, if Jim Miller gets him on the ground and subs him, then I think that it'll end inside the distance. Otherwise, they're just going to be, jabbing and swinging haymakers, for 3 rounds. And it'll be really entertaining. And, it might get fight of the night and they might get bonus that way. But, I hate the fight from a DFS perspective, but I don't see Jim Miller, he doesn't have the pop to put Bobby Green out on the feet, and Bobby is just going to walk him down and I think win a decision. Yeah,
I will say if this fight goes to decision, I think that leans Bobby more than it does Jim. I honestly think that's definitely more Bobby's angle of winning this fight. Dan, what do you see here? Do you agree with JBC, Bobby Green, the pick, or are you on the Jim fucking Miller side?
I hate to pick against Jim Miller, but I hate even more to pick against Bobby Green. And so I'm on the Bobby Green side also by decision. A lot of the same points JBC made. I think if you like Jim Miller to win inside the distance, you could do a lot worse than, 550 by sub, plus 550. I like that bet a lot. From a DFS perspective, the one thing Bobby has like going for him is, he's got good volume, but, there's not really much outside of the boxing. And again, I think he likely wins by decision. I think Jim Miller is the better DFS play because, he's cheap and his win condition is most likely by sub. So, and I think if he does that especially within the first 2 rounds, 3rd round sub is getting a little dicey, but first 2 rounds, which I think is totally possible. Like he's got a really good shot for optimal. So yeah. But I agree with JVC. Overall, I am not like a huge fan of this fight for DFS.
No, I can't wait for this fight. I love Jim
Real
Miller.
life, it's gonna be fucking great. But
the walkouts are gonna be wild for this one, especially after Figueiredo puts Garbrandt out. Everybody's gonna be hyped up.
I think our seats are above.
Just start the fight. Well, I do think that first fight's gonna end inside the distance too. So that's good.
First round. Somebody's going down.
We're going to see a lot of fights end inside the distance because I do really buy into the bonus thing and fighters maybe being a little more risky since it is UFC 300, So I do kind of buy into that a little bit more. But all right, so I'm on an island here with Jim Miller as a dog. I like the first two dogs in the card too. So you got to take some dogs here. Next fight, Andrade. Minus 135 favorite here against Marina Rodriguez. Dan, I personally think this is one of those fights where if it plays out on the feet, I lean Rodriguez. If Andrade can kind of get the ground game going, though, I think that's her easier path in this fight to victory. So it's kind of like dependent on what happens here, because I think Marina Rodriguez, if she stays at distance, she can just pick Andrade apart. Her technique on the feet, especially that Jan fight last time out where she was just kind of getting wild and trying to touch her and Jan was just quicker than her. I think Marina just pick her apart. So I do think she's got to mix in the ground game. I'm going to lean Andrade by decision. I think she can get the ground game going, but this isn't one of those fights I'm super confident in. It's a close fight. It feels like a coin flip fight to me, to be honest with you. How do you see it, Dan?
Yeah, I see it the same way. I mean, I've got Andrade inside the distance. I just think it's Andrade early or Rodriguez late. Rodriguez is durable, so I think
this fight finishes either way.
Yeah, I think Andrade finishes her. I think it's going to be, again, we're talking about like bonus hunting type stuff. And not to get too into the narratives, but, Andrade does have that like very public financial problems with like her divorce. So, she's going to go out for the kill. And what we saw from her against Dern, like she was just fucking going for it. Just savage, fucking on the attack. And I know like Dern is not exceptional on the feet. But I don't know, man. Like you said, it is a pure, like, it is like really a coin flippy type fight. And I just, the vibes for me are on the side of Andrade. And again, I like her better too for DFS because, like I said, Andrade early or Rodriguez late. I'd rather have it early.
Yeah. JVC, how do you see this fight kind of playing out here? Really close fight.
Andrade is actually going to be one of my biggest bets on the entire card. I really think Marina's got nothing for her. I think Andrade gets her down, and I think that she's got she's going to have no problems just winning inside the distance on the ground. I just don't. I don't view this as a coin flip fight at all. I really, really like Andrade as a bet.
This is like the first in a while where she actually has like the advantage on the ground too.
Yes.
Where she's like if you look at Andrade's last couple fights, Suarez, Dern, Blanchfield, this is the first like fight in a while where she's had like the clear cut advantage to where like if she gets it down, she can definitely do damage here. So I do think that helps her. JBC, Dan, definitely more confident, but we all are on the same side here. JBC, you got Andrade by finish or decision? Finish. All right. God, you guys are on the finish side of that one. Maybe I should flip. That's a close one for me, but I could see her finishing Marina for sure. But all right, 8,100. Are you guys lower on Rodriguez, or is that a fight you're going to have like decent of both sides? I'm definitely going to have more on Andrade personally, but Dan, do you have some Rodriguez, or are you lower on her?
I'm going to have some. I am still like in the process of like finalizing my 150 because like, we're doing the show day early. But yeah, I mean, actually currently right now, like the sims that I'm running, I'm getting more Rodriguez than Andrade, and I'm getting a lot of this fight. And I have a feeling that is mostly like ownership related. So I'm going to try to smooth that out. But at the same time, I try not to push too hard against what I get back because it's based off of what I'm originally putting into it anyway, which I trust for the most part, except for, adjustments here and there. So all that's to say is, like, I think this is a great fight to target overall. It's not going to be owned. Like earlier, you were saying 13 sounds low for Garbrandt. There are 5 fighters that project for lower ownership than Garbrandt, and Rodriguez is one of them at 11%. So I think she's like a really strong contrarian option because she's also live for the finish.
And honestly, that's I'm assuming you're betting Andrade, so that's kind of like your built-in hedge, which I know JBC you do a decent amount when it comes to betting in DFS. There are clear, fights out there where there's a better bet in a DFS play. Is this one of those fights?
I mean, I kind of like I still like Andrade in DFS. I think 8,100 is pretty cheap. Right. She's certainly a much better play than Rakic at 8,200. And I think that, they're getting projected about the same right now. So I'll skew that number heavily toward Andrade versus Rakic. But, I'm seeing like in the 20s for Andrade as a projected ownership. That part seems high to me. I don't know that other people are going to attack it in the same manner. But I'll probably end up in the mid-20s on her.
It's 8,100 is just like, I think,
it's a lot of builds. You're going to land in that spot in a lot of builds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she just fits. And she,
everybody will go with Yuri instead. Well,
they can do both. Huh?
Right. But if you were just doing one though, Dan, you're probably going the Yuri fight over this fight.
Yeah, I'm probably going
Yuri. But I think people would.
I think people will too. Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not saying that's the best course, but
right now I'm getting actually very little Yuri. I'm getting a lot more Rakic. I don't like that. I'm definitely going to be toning that down. It might be a situation where I'm like, fuck.
Oh, I love that. So you're me and you are on different sides of that fight.
Thing.
That's definitely an ownership thing right there.
A lot of my stuff is like heavily skewed towards ownership, and that's why I kind of like manual, like smoothing out and adjustments need to be made. And I'm not quite as far along in that process as I would be usually when we're doing the show. But I mean, I love targeting the women fights in general. They go under owned. Their, strikes are judged more leniently. Yeah, they're just great leverage plays overall. And this one, I think, ends inside the distance. Probably either way.
Listen, if you think a woman's fight finishes inside the distance and they're priced at like 8K, you just gotta be into that fight. Like I don't care what it is. Like that's I agree with you.
Wild shit happens in women's fights too. You get like multiple knockdowns. You get these crazy sprawls. Like it happens with the men a lot too, but like it seems to happen a lot more like with women's MMA, where like shit just goes haywire and you end up.
And the significant strikes are borderline. Let's just say that a lot of these significant strikes are borderline. Whatever, take advantage of it.
Even the strikes, like you look at like Grasso, like she'll be on bottom just doing these little like rabbit punches, and those are just like she's racking them up. So yeah, always a strong target. I think like the women's fights, even like if you look back at AC, just like real quick, it's like Figueiredo was in the optimal. She was like 20-something% owned for a main event fighter in like the 7Ks. It's ridiculous.
100%. All right, let's go to the next fight here. Jalen Turner, my man, against Renato Moicano. Turner minus 230 here, betting favorite. And I love Jalen Turner. I do not. Jalen Turner is a friggin' beast, absolute savage. The fact that he lost to Dan Hooker in the way he did, and Dan Hooker ate all those massive shots that he was giving him. It was an insane fight. It just showed how much of a savage Dan Hooker was. That's what it showed. Like broken arms, like just an absolutely insane fight. If you missed that fight, you should go back and watch it. It's a fucking awesome fight. But Jalen Turner is an absolute beast on the feet. He has a great submission game too. He's that kind of all-around fighter. And I love him here at 8,900. Definitely, I'm lower on Moicano just in general. I do think he gets finished here by Turner. So yeah, for DFS and for betting, I'm gonna be in on Jalen Turner. I haven't looked yet at what I'm exactly gonna bet him. I do think he finishes him, and honestly, it's probably by knockout. But the submission number seems high for him too. I just don't think that's where the fight plays out for Jalen Turner. against Moicano. I think he keeps it on the feet and then finishes him there. So, yeah, I like Jalen Turner a lot. I'm going to play a lot of him. JBC, you're shaking your head. Yes, I think you're on board with me here.
Yeah, I think that Turner is probably the best play up there or close to it, depending on how you feel about the Gaethje fight. I really don't see what Moicano's got for Jalen Turner. Like Jalen Turner, I think he's just going to obliterate him unless like Turner would have to make some type of egregious mistake or like slip, like in order for Moicano, and Moicano could then sub him or something. But like otherwise, Jalen Turner projecting at 26% ownership seems really fucking low. So I'm going to be way over that.
If this fight plays out at range or like on the Moicano's going to get destroyed, like just absolutely destroyed here. So I agree with you. There needs to be something where they find the way on the ground. He catches them in some submission, but I just don't think that's going to happen. Dan, where are you at with this fight?
Danger. We're all on the same side. I fucking love Jalen Turner, man. Like, I think he's an elite play, 20%, or yeah, we have him for like 26, which actually might be a little low. But again, I mean, anytime I look at a ownership projection, I'm like, that seems low. It's like, look at the overall card. Like, it's going to be a little bit spread out. So yeah, I mean, in my, like, I have like a ranking like formula that I use, and like I'll give just like a straight boost to like the 5-round fights, and Jalen Turner is like up with those fighters, like with no boost added. So I'm gonna have a ton of him as well.
Yeah, I love him here. 100% great DFS play. I do think he gets this done inside the distance. All right, Lopes versus Yusuff. I will say this about this fight is I do not like betting against Diego Lopes or Lopez, however you say his last name. JBC can correct me when he gets going here. It's Lopez. All right. But this dude's ground game is like unreal. It literally, when they put him in on short notice against Ivoyev for his first fight, I was like, okay, this kid's going to get started. And that dude gave Ivoyev a tough fight. And it was just one of the more impressive things. And now his confidence has skyrocketed after, a couple finishes in the UFC. And I love him here. I just don't know if for DFS, this is going to be a fight where he finishes Yusuff. I don't think that happens. I think this fight, as much as he wants to get a finish, and trust me, he'll throw it all out in round one. He'll tire himself out in the first round and a half trying to get a finish. Even when he's tired, though, he still can like stay alive. So I don't know if he gets finished either here. But I think if this fight ends inside the distance, he's the winner. I just don't think it does. I think it goes to the cards, and I think Yusuff wins a decision here, unfortunately. So I hate picking against Lopez. Again, I think he's the better DFS play, but I'm probably going to be lower on this fight in general here, probably a little higher on Yusuff just because I think he wins by decision. But yeah, I don't like picking against Lopez. JBC, what do you got here? Tell me I'm wrong, because I kind of want to be wrong on this fight.
This is a fight where I'm pretty content to kind of match the field, because I could see a way where Lopez scores huge. I could see a way where Yusuff scores huge. With how much power he's got. Dan had a really, really good bet on this fight that I know he'll tell us about.
I misread. I thought, and I was so fucking confused. I thought it was 16-1. It was Yusuff. I was looking at the wrong row.
You're looking at the wrong row. Okay,
I realized it this morning. I was like getting ready for the show. I was like, yeah, man, 16-1. Lopez.
Yeah, but I think that either one could finish the fight early. That plus 110 inside the distance number for Lopez is pretty fucking short. So like the path to him being optimal is certainly there. And if he's only going to be around 20% owned, I'll be around there. I don't want to hard short him. I don't want to hard short Yusuff, but I'm also not targeting it kind of like I am with Andrade.
Yeah, this is one of those fights where I could see Yusuff's been in a lot of, decision fights recently. He's kind of that type of guy. He's very technical, wants to stay on the feet. But I could see Lopez like forcing the action to where Yusuff just has no choice. So maybe then it could end up, maybe Yusuff does have a shot to finish him just for that standpoint. It was kind of like my take with, I can't remember who was the guy. It was like two or 3 weeks ago, who was always a decision fighter and got a sub finish like early in the fight because he was fighting Billy Q. Who fought Billy Q recently?
Oh, I know we were all on
because I was on. I literally told Tony I was at his house and I'm like, dude, you got to take this guy inside the distance against Billy Q. The numbers way too high, and he's going to force action. Billy Q's going to force action on him to where he's kind of forced into having to finish him.
He last fought.
Yes, Yusuff Zalal. Yep, and he finished him. And I could see this fight being that exact thing because Diego Lopes is going to stay in his face. He's going to force action. That's the type of fighter he is. He's going to force it. So maybe I should change my pick to Yusuff inside the distance here. I don't know.
I've been fading Lopes, and it's been very expensive. And like when I first was like looking at this fight, I wanted to back Lopes. I've had to like question myself and be like, is it because you're just trying to like get on the right side of this guy finally? And then he's going to fuck you. So I don't know. This is one of the fights that I had like the most trouble picking a side, and I'm still kind of like back and forth. But outside of his like short notice, like debut against Evloev, he hasn't been fighting like the best of the best. Yusuff's got like a bit of a better resume. I can't believe he didn't finish Barbosa in his last fight. Like Barbosa is just like a badass, but he had him badly hurt. So like I agree. I think I don't know what the number is on Yusuff knockout. Let me see.
I'll tell you right now. But Dan, funny story because you brought up the fact you brought up the fact that you've been fading. The chat McNair says it's Lopes.
Now I see that. Now I'm questioning myself.
Yeah, I thought it was Lopes, but I don't know. I'll call him Lopes from now. But funniest thing, since Dan brought that up about the first time I met Dan in the chat, like the Discord, it was like the first time I ever seen an MMA Discord message. It was actually on my birthday, and these guys were fighting. It was Diego Lopes versus, I think, Gavin Tucker. And right before the fight, I posted in the MMA Discord, I said, Diego Lopes by submission, like first round submission. Dan immediately posts Gavin Tucker by murder after I post Diego Lopes by submission. And then Diego Lopes finishes him in like literally like I don't know how quick it was, but it was really quick. Like, I mean, like 30 seconds, a minute. Like, I don't know what it was, but it was so quick. And Dan,
a minute 30.
Dan just wrote back and was like, I guess not. Well, fuck. It was like the first time Dan ever said anything in the MMA chat, like for an MMA fight. So good you talked about that because I do remember it.
That's hilarious.
Sorry, Dan. I just had to bring that up. It was a great, it was a great bet for me. So.
Oh, that's funny, man. It's fading Lopes or Lopez or what, that has not gone well for me at all.
He's a beast, man. He is a beast, and he's especially nasty on the ground. Like, his ground game is fucking next level. But
and he's got the ground, but he's also just got he's got power, man, like legitimate power, which is just like kind of I don't know, man. I'm still like flipping back and forth on this fight. I like both sides.
It's definitely one of those fights. It's definitely one of those fights you're gonna go back and forth on. It's really close for me. All right, next fight. I don't think we're gonna be flipping back and forth on here. Holly Holmes and Kayla Harrison, minus 455 favorite is Harrison here. I wanted to find reasons to pick against Kayla Harrison in her first fight in the UFC. I watched most of her fights, and literally what I came out of it was, this girl's a beast. She's strong as hell. Her ground game, takedowns, her clinch work, her judo, she's 2-time gold medalist judo, obviously all that stuff. It's next level. She's fucking awesome at it. But her striking, not that great. And as strong as she looks, she wasn't like as strong when she hits as I thought she was going to. I thought she was going to hit like a truck. And when she threw, it just wasn't like it wasn't anything special. Like there wasn't much to it. She was honestly throwing to get to the ground. Like, if you know what I mean, she wasn't throwing to like not knock chicks out. She was kind of throwing to set up her ground game, to set up the clinch work or the takedowns, the judo. And so I think anyone that can keep her on her feet, which is how she lost to Pacheco in her one loss. If you watch that fight, it was kind of like her, you know, if you can keep her on the feet and force her to strike with you for longer periods of time, then you are going to have chances against this girl, because she is not very good on the feet. Now, she might improve. She might have improved since, you know, her last fight. But just going off what she saw, my issue is I think Holly Holmes is dust, and Holly Holmes does her best work in the clinch. This Holly Holmes. And I'll tell you right now, that is the one place you do not want to be with Kayla Harrison, because she is super tricky with her clinch work, and she does her best work there too, in her takedowns and her trips and everything. And I think that's how this fight plays out. I think it's the winner of the clinch, and I think she's going to win. I think she's going to get her to the ground and just elbow until she's bleeding everywhere. So I got to go Kayla. I wanted to find reasons to go against her. I just don't think it's the fight.
Tony's killing me because I was thinking the same fucking thing.
Yeah, whatever. Holly Holmes. What do you want me to call her?
Reshad
Fuck
Holmes.
you, Anthony. Fucking asshole. Go back to wherever lake you're at or something like that. Go back to the lake you're in or whatever. JVC, tell me what's up with this fight. I'm assuming you like Harrison.
I don't think she's a good DFS play, because, you know, one, as I was talking about earlier, it worries me how skinny she looked compared to her size in the PFL. I wonder if she's really going to be able to manhandle Holly, because Holly isn't tiny by any means. Holly is old, but she's an elite boxer. There's a decent chance that she'll be able to keep her at distance. Like, I would not be shocked to see Holly eke out a shitty decision here if she's able to just dance around the outside. That said, Kayla Harrison's DFS upside is infinite because of as you talked about, the ground and pound. So, you know, I'm going to have some, but I really don't like it, and I think I'm going to bet on Holm.
I definitely agree with you on the DFS side, where I think at 9,300, I'm going to be lower on her than I will be the other 9K people outside of Figueiredo and even Jalen Turner. I'll throw Turner. I like Turner more than her, even with the difference in price. Like, just straight up, they were the same exact price. I'd go Turner over her. So I'm kind of with you there. And I do agree. If she could keep her at range, and Steven asked in the chat, you don't think Holly could be effective on the feet? I do think she can be effective in the feet. What I worry about is that Holly, her game, the clinch has been such a big part of the game. And I don't know if she can stay away from the clinch. And you told me that she was literally just going to try and pick her apart in and out and stay at range, I'd be way more interested in Holly Holmes as a bet, because I agree with JBC. Way better, I think, bet by decision, or just a win in general, money line. But I just don't know if she's going to do that. So I worry about that. I just don't know if she's going to stay away from the clinch, which I think is hard for her to do. Dan, what do you see here in this fight?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with most of what you guys said. I think there is like some intrigue with Holm down at 6,900. Just like if she does eke out a decision, she also, you know, I mean, her ITD numbers are terrible, but, you know, like 13% implied.
She's not winning inside the distance.
I mean, I'm just telling you what the odds say. I'm just telling you what the odds say, but you know,
against Ronda, what was that, 20 years ago? Like, come on.
I mean, yeah, it's ugly, right? But she's gonna be 7% owned. Like, I actually do have a hard time seeing her being 7%. Maybe it's because of like salary that people are gonna want to be jamming.
I mean, she's certainly a better play than Brundage.
She is a better play than Brundage. I have her rated out as like a much better play than Brundage. And again, women's MMA is, you know, we're talking about probably the most variant sport that there is. And women's MMA is the most variant subsection of that sport. So
I do want to touch on Joe Ruff just mentioned what I was about to say, which is you say that Harrison's not going to get finished, but cutting all that weight fucks your chin up. Like she might not be able to take a punch at all.
Yeah,
there's a lot of unknowns.
I just don't know if Holly Holmes is going to be able to do that here. Where she's at in her stage of her career, I like betting her. I'm fine with it. Honestly, I'm not going to play much Harrison at all in DFS, so I probably should honestly play a little Holly just because of that reason. Like, if I'm not going to play her, kind of should be rooting against her in a way. Holly Holmes winning a decision, even a boring decision at that, is one way to kind of root against her. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely an interesting fight, but maybe the weight cut is a bigger issue than I'm giving it, JBC. But I don't know. I just don't think Holly Holmes is at that stage anymore where I'm as worried about her kind of, finishing, but she could win a decision for sure. I definitely could see that in the realm of possibilities. So, Dan, who do you have here in the fight? Who are you picking?
I mean, I'm picking Kayla Harrison.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously the bet is just screaming at you to pick Holly for all the reasons.
What's the ownership for Kayla at right now? What do we have her at?
I have her at 20 at the moment.
Okay.
That seemed high to me, by the way. After today, I mean, so that's a significant change. I think people are going to see how she looked and not take her.
Yeah, that's a good point. This was all
so
done
you think it could go down. You think it could be lower than 20?
Yeah, I don't think it's more than 10 or 15.
I mean, it's tough. She is sandwiched right between Bo and Zhang, but people who also
are clearly better plays, by the way.
Yeah, you've got Bo at 30. That's the one. Bo I think is going to be 50
at 9,500.
Yes,
dude. Wei Li should be 50.
I think they're both going to be 50. I think they're both going to be 50.
Yeah, I mean, Wei Li should be.
I don't know. I think they're both going to be 50, and Kayla and Figueiredo will just get squeezed.
Honestly, if you're 150ing and Kayla Harrison's going to be 10% and Holly's going to be 5 or 7, which I think is around correct, it's honestly not a bad fight to just kind of be even match the field or be over on, because it's not that hard to get over on it, right, JBC?
I could totally see that. Right now on my content, I've got myself listed as being under on Kayla Harrison, but that's at 20%. I'm gonna go 15.
So you'll be at the field. I think 15 is where she's gonna be. I think 15 to 18 is probably around where she gets to. But if she was ever at 10, I mean, that's so easy to get over on. Play 15 to 20, and you're just double the field.
I mean, the odds she beats Bo Nickal are certainly better than 1 in 5, and that's what the ownerships are going to reflect. And so yeah, I get it.
All right, let's go to the next fight here. Calvin Kattar and Aljamain Sterling here. Sterling is a -170 favorite here, which I'm not going to lie. And I'm a Sterling guy. I like Aljamain Sterling. When I saw he was a -170 favorite, I kind of was like, whoa, that's pretty crazy to me. And this is a fight I've flipped back and forth on. Coming into the week, I definitely thought I was going to be more on the Aljo side. I've kind of landed myself on the Kattar side more and more that I look at it. He's had a long layoff, obviously after the knee injury, but I think at this number, I like him here as a dog. I think he wins a decision. I don't know how fun of a fight it's going to be from a DFS perspective. I don't think it's going to be a super high scoring fight unless somehow he could just catch the chin early or Aljamain backpacks him and finishes him early, which I don't think happens super early. So I think if it's a finish, it's later in the fight. Just off of, Aljo being finished pretty early by Sean, I think he's going to take more of a measured approach. Even with the bonus, I think he's going to be a little bit more measured just because he got, flatlined and put out. So, I think this is a not great DFS fight. I'm going to be a little higher on Kattar, and I'm going Kattar to win. I think the takedown defense, even though he hasn't fought guys, I think Aljo that are just going to keep shooting, even though the takedown accuracy is not great for Aljo, it's still he just will constantly keep going and trying for it. And all he needs is one to get you down, to then get to your back. So, you know, I don't think it's crazy, but I think the takedown defense and on the feet, Kattar, I definitely think I would give the edge to. I'm not as worried about the cage rust, but I could see that being something people are worried about. I'm not, though. Dan, what do you see here in this fight?
I'm definitely on the Sterling side, and I think like the combination of his kind of grappling heavy approach with Kattar's overall like durability, I think you could see a really high score out of Sterling at like what he's 8,400, which is super reasonable price for someone with as high a ceiling as him. I think Kattar, you know, hasn't looked awesome, didn't look awesome in his last fight. If I'm thinking of the right thing. Oh, well, he got injured like immediately on his knee. But yeah, in the Josh Emmett fight, like it was just very one-dimensional. It was just like very one-dimensional striking. There's not much like peripherals there. So I think Sterling is like, I think he's the bet, but I also think he's like the much better DFS play. Kattar is like, of course, live to knock him out. Like he's got the power to do that. And we know like Aljo was just caught and knocked out. So we know he can be knocked out, albeit by O'Malley, who's like one of the best strikers currently in the UFC, but like he can be got by someone with power. So I'm pretty low on this fight overall though. And I think that's kind of just how it's shaking out. They don't rate out great from like a inside the distance perspective. Although I do think, I mean, I think they're both live to finish each other. I just don't think it's the most likely outcome.
I think if it goes to decision, I'm going Kattar. I think if it's a finish, I think Aljo has honestly maybe a better chance to finish the fight, but I don't think it's a great DFS fight. I think Kattar wins by decision. I think he scores like 70, 75 in like a decision win, which is not going to, I don't think on this card that price tag 75 is going to, you know, be something you're going to want for an optimal. So yeah, I'm lower on this fight for DFS. JBC, how high are you on this fight for DFS?
It's the worst fight on the card for DFS. I don't think either one of them really is gonna, unless Aljo gets his back. I don't think the fight ends inside the distance. I think we get a lot of boring wrestle humping from Aljo. I mean, he could score a lot doing that, but I think Kattar will be able to, you know, mitigate the damage a little bit, and I think that Aljo will just 30-27 score 80 and move on.
Yeah, I agree with you on the boring side, 100%. I think it's going to be a boring DFS fight, either played out with a lot of wrestling, humping, or whatever JVC was talking about, or you know, at range, which I think, you know, I don't know how well it's going to score either. So, yeah, not great, but you guys are both on the Aljo side. I'm on the Kattar side. For betting, let's move to the next fight, which is closely aligned here. Rakic and Prochazka. Yuri is a minus 112 favorite here, I think. Is this line flipped, JBC?
Yes.
Okay. Because I was going to say, I didn't think that was the
Yuri
case.
opened like really, really high, and it's just slow. It's just steadily Yuri money.
Okay,
Yuri.
so talk about that a little bit, because you are, you know, definitely a betting guy here. What does that tell you about this fight here?
Yuri's my biggest bet on this card. I think that they're both going to go out there and try and kill each other, and that plays way more into Yuri. And so I think that Rakic is going to fall for the bait and go and fight Yuri's style of fight and get fucking put out.
I pray that doesn't happen, but I could see it happening here. Dan, what do you see here? I assume you're on Yuri as well.
Yeah, I'm also on Yuri. We talked about it a little bit before. I just, you know, Yuri is a wild man. He's going to come out. He's going to put the pressure on him. He's going to be sweating. I mean, and that could, you know, be to his detriment because he rushes in and gets caught. Like Yuri can be hurt. We've seen it plenty of times, but I just think he's going to get on him. He's going to out volume him. I don't think Rakic can really keep up. And I agree. I think, I think it's Yuri inside the distance.
Yeah. Okay. So I disagree. I disagree with you guys here. I love Rakic in this fight. I think his leg kicks, we just saw in the last fight, Yuri couldn't take 2 of Alex's leg kicks before he literally couldn't like stand on that leg, which I know Alex is an unbelievable, kickboxer and has nasty ass leg kicks that aren't really telegraphed. So they're super hard to kind of figure out, but he does not check leg kicks and he keeps moving forward. And man, I'll tell you right now, that's bad news against someone like Alex Pereira. That's also bad news against someone like Alexander Rakic, who's going to hammer he was hammering Jan's leg. He was hammering Jan's leg and then level change. The only thing I worry about is what JBC's talking about, where Yuri comes in, he just tries to like stay on him and force him to kind of fight his style as opposed to a technical hit and move, stay on the outside. Because I'll tell you right now, if this stays at range and it's technical, Rakic is just going to beat him the crap up. If it gets a little crazy, that's where Yuri kind of excels. So I'm going to say Rakic keeps this kind of technical, keeps him on the outside, hammers that leg. And I think he is going to level change too. I think he's going to wrestle a little bit. I think he's going to level change on Yuri. He's just going to watch the ground game, the grappling of Yuri, because obviously he does have submissions. But I think Alexander Rakic wins a decision here. And then, for 8,200 decision, I don't love as much for DFS, but I do like him as a bet here. I see multiple paths to him having the edge against Yuri. And I just don't like Yuri. Like I didn't like him against Pereira at all. I didn't even see that as like a close fight. And obviously it wasn't, even though, he did rock Pereira a little bit, but we'll get to
that definitely was close, dude. If he had just stuck to the grappling.
The leg kicks were just killing him. Like he had no choice. The leg kick. And I think this fight is going to play out very similarly to how where he's going to end up rushing in because he's just getting killed at range. And then, we'll see what happens here. Maybe he can somehow, finish him. I just don't see that as likely here. So yeah, both these guys are on Yuri. I am on the other side. This is a theme of the show here. It's JSU against JBC. Team JBC Dan just absolutely trying to go against me on every fight. I feel like I need some love in the chat here. Someone back me up and say Rakic is going to win, so I feel a little better here. I'm 1-on-2. It's unfair, but hopefully we'll get aligned here on the next fight. I think we will, anyways, because I don't think anyone here is picking Cody Brundage to win this fight against Bo Nickal, the biggest betting favorite on the card. And I got a question. Do you think the line is deserved here? That being the biggest betting, do you think that is deserved, JBC? And are you going to bet Brundage at this number?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to bet on Brundage. I think it's more likely, like the odds that Bo Nickal gets disqualified for some random reason are enough to bet Brundage.
Don't you throw that bad juju on him? Come on.
I'm just saying, dude,
that's bad
you think
mojo.
about it, John Jones lost to fucking Hamill. MMA is not like boxing. You should not have lines this big ever. Period.
Yeah. Okay, so you're saying that something wild could happen and
literally it could be like me fighting against Bo Nickal and the line should be not this big. It's stupid.
So you're saying like the Jacob Malkoun fight where Cody Brundage won.
We were on Cody Brundage.
Yeah, we were on Cody Brundage.
He was like,
no, but I'm saying that style of that fight right there where he's getting
I don't know that he can. He might be able to beat him with say Bo gets on top of him and then he because who knows if Bo's jiu-jitsu is any good? Probably not. So, he could get him in something dumb.
I'll tell you Cody's only shot outside of just like a haymaker, but he's going to first time Bo shoots, he's going to jump guillotine. First time he's going to shoot, and he's got a nasty guillotine. I'll just say that. Yeah, I'll just say that. So
then Joe Rogan is going to yell, "It's tight," when it's not tight.
Bro, we'll slip out easily.
Yeah, don't you
dare throw shade at my guy Joe Rogan. We love Joe Rogan.
I love Joe Rogan.
Love him.
It's gonna be great because it's gonna be like a 20-second sweat. You're gonna he's gonna jump guillotine, and we're all gonna be like, "Come on!"
So for DFS, Dan, I assume that you're gonna have some Bo Nickal here on this card. The question is, how much are you gonna be at the field, which JBC talked about, he thinks Bo is going to be very highly owned, like 50%. Or are you going to be under the field or over? I don't know. What are you doing with Bo Nickal? Are you just taking the dub?
I disagree. I don't think he's going to be. I think he's going to probably be around like 30% because people do not like paying up to the high 9Ks. They just don't. Like, you look slate after slate. Like, once you
the
get
only thing I'll say, Dan, is there's a lot of cheap dogs. A lot of cheap dogs on this card, and they're all good fighters. Like, literally, pull out a bad fighter. Like,
but you don't think that everybody and their mother is going to build
lots of cheap favorites as well that people are going to like more.
Dude, everybody and their mother is going to build Bo Nickal, Weili Zhang, Charles Oliveira, Max Holloway. They're just going to, like, everybody's going to build that.
That's like the people's build right there. You just gave it away. It's literally the people's build right there.
People love the mid-range, man. I see, and it kind of goes across every sport, but people love to hunt the fucking mid-range because it makes them feel nice. But people are going to want to play all these like high-priced, like they're going to want to play Zhang Weili and, you know, Jalen Turner. Yeah, I don't think he makes it to 50. I'll be surprised. I mean, I just don't think so. So if he is like around 30-ish where I think he's going to be, then I definitely want to go over that.
Yeah.
Because I think people are going to be too hesitant. Like, the line is incredibly wide, but it's like closer to the truth than it is fiction, right? So I think he smashes them. I think he does it early. You need it to happen early, though. It's going to need to be like, I think you might even need like a knockdown, possibly.
I hope he doesn't throw with them, honestly. Just take him down and get him down there. And
what's the problem?
That's also Cody's out. Like, okay, let's just jump in the middle of the pocket. Let's meet at the middle and just throw. And whoever lives through it. Like, and Bo just got a knockout.
His last fight against Woodburn, he knocked him out like very quickly, very cleanly. And you see guys like after something like that, they tend to want to continue striking because knocking someone out feels amazing. They're like, I want to fucking do that again.
Yeah.
Like how many times the pop you get from knocking someone out is like way harder. How many times
do we see grapplers, like great grapplers, turn into knockout guys when they get their first knockout or two, and they're just like, this is awesome. Literally, like, you can name a ton of guys, though. It's just crazy. Like
Yoel Romero.
Just yeah, I mean, there's a ton of dudes. I just for me, anyways, I got Bo under Weili. I think Weili's the better play from like the 9K. Bo would probably be number 2 in the 9K range, just because I'm not as high on the other 2 9K fighters. But like, man, I got Jalen Turner. I think Jalen Turner is literally pretty close to Bo, and they're $600. That's how much I like Turner.
If I thought Bo was going to come in around 50%, I would come in under that, just because like I don't like chalk wrestlers. I just don't, and that's just like a process thing. Oh, I would like be willing to ignore the numbers. I mean, I'm getting him.
How many chalk wrestlers are laying 2,000 though?
Yeah, but we already established that line's too wide.
But but as you said, it's closer to truth than it's not like it should be like minus 1,000.
I mean, look, I'm getting like I'm at like 60% right now. I think he's a fucking great play. But if he was, if he was closer to 50%, I wouldn't be trying to get over 50%. Maybe I wouldn't be like striving to get super under it. But like, if I was getting to the field,
you think you're double the field though with your 60 or close to it. You think he's more 30 to 40 than 50 is what you're saying.
I think he's closer. Yeah. I think he's closer to 30 than he's going to be to 50.
I think he's definitely 40. I just like, people see this fight. First of all, I don't know why it's where it is on the card. Like, it should be the first fight on the card. Maybe it's just because they know this fight's going to end quickly. So like, they got 3 5-round fights coming up. They're like, correct. we gotta have one quick fight here.
That is 100% why it's where it is.
Yeah, and they want Bo to be a star. Like, the UFC does things for a reason. I fully believe they want this kid to be a star. I think they see him as someone who could be a star in that division. So they're trying to give him a little more pump for sure. So, yeah, I mean, that's really it on this card. Sounds like these guys are going to bet Cody Brundage.
Well, real quick,
because
not an incredibly high bar to clear, but Cody Brundage is the best fighter that he's faced in MMA. So, I mean, we have so many unknowns about Bo Nickal on the flip side of that. He's never been out of the first round. So, I mean, like, we assume he's fine.
Well, cardio is obviously not going to be a concern for a high-end wrestler like him.
Yeah.
I mean Cody Brundage 35-1 by submission and 16-1 by KO.
35-1 by submission sounds very, very good.
That's crazy to me for someone who I know is gonna. He's gonna, if Bo Nickal shoots, he's gonna go for like, because he knows his chance is that, like, right, JBC, like he knows what the odds are. He knows he doesn't want to like play on the ground with Bo Nickal. He's gonna shoot for something crazy when Bo shoots a takedown. I think that's insane. That's how I'm gonna bet. Honestly, you guys sold me. I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit on the 35-1 because that's just ridiculous odds.
Yeah.
So yeah, Bo's definitely the better DFS play. But Cody, you know, it's really tough to bet Bo. I mean, he's minus 135 by submission. I guess plus 140 by KO because, you know, we could see him trying for the KO would be how I'd bet him if I was going to bet him.
Well, it could be like Woodburn where he sees, like, I think that he swung on Woodburn not because he wanted to, but because, like, it was a strategy of he thinks I'm going to do it, so I'm going to get a free shot at his face.
Correct. And he hit him, like, right on the top and just, like, fucked him up. He was on skates after that. So
I was cheering so loudly.
I was saying we were at that one too.
Dude, I was cheering so loudly for Val Woodburn, and the guy in front of me turns around. He's like, "You got a bet on him?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, I do." Are you kidding me? Like, why else would I be cheering for Val Woodburn?
He's like, you're a fucking idiot. He's like, you're a fucking idiot. You guys, you don't even know this guy.
People don't like to bet on things that are very, very likely to make them look stupid. And betting on Cody Brundage is very, very likely to make us look stupid, but it's a good bet.
Yeah. Because again, those odds, like, you just don't see those odds on a fight. Like, I'll say it, those odds are crazy. Even if you think Bo Nickal should be a big favorite, like, those are just crazy odds. So, all right, we talked a lot about that card. Let's get to the 4 fights that, I mean, these fights are all sick in their own right. And I do fully think now I sold myself on the fact the UFC wanted that Bo Nickal fight on there just so they could get through one quick fight, because I could see some of these fights going the distance here. And we'll start with the Oliveira Tsarukyan fight here. My Armenian brother, shout out Armin Tsarukyan, Armenian heritage. Get it done this weekend for all the Armenians. I'll be rooting for you. Minus 225 though against Charles Oliveira. Dan, what do you think about that line? And do you think he should be that big of a favorite?
I mean, when I first saw the line, it didn't make sense to me, and I instantly was like, I want to bet Oliveira. But the more I dug into it, I'm finding myself on the Armin side. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to necessarily like bet his money line, but I think he's a great DFS play. I think he's super live to knock Charles out. We've seen Charles hurt. I think Charles's best chance is, you know, get him to the ground and submit him, but I'm not sure how exactly he does that. And I also think, I mean, I have him projected for 26% Oliveira. I think that's actually pretty low. I think he's going to be one of the most popular dogs on the entire slate. So I think Tsarukyan, we have Tsarukyan projected pretty high too. So he's not necessarily going to be like a leverage spot, but I think he is the correct side. And I think a whole lot of the field is going to get taken out by Oliveira loss.
Yeah, Oliveira is definitely going to be a popular dog, 100%. He's 7,500 in DFS. People love him too. And he's definitely got like it's not like, this is not like the Cody Brundage, like, or any of those. Like, this dude can clearly find a way to get it done. And, you know, I don't think Armin is going to be afraid to jump in his guard. Like, you know, I'll say Islam wasn't. Islam jumped right in. I don't think Armin's going to be that afraid. Now, should he be afraid? Should he jump in his guard? Like, you know, those are all questions you kind of figure out. But I will say the one thing that I thought was interesting between the Islam fight and this fight, which I think plays into it, is Islam wasn't like necessarily shooting on Charles. They were finding their way to the ground, but it was off of him beating him in striking exchanges. So Islam would be winning the striking exchanges to where like Charles was trying to force it, and then Islam was like in positions where he could just get him to the ground. I think if that's the way how this fight plays out, you're going to see Arman finish him, in the first or second round if he's winning those striking exchanges. I don't know if he's going to just dominate the striking exchanges, though. I think this is a closer fight than what the line should be. I think that this fight could honestly go the distance even. Like, I think I give Charles Oliveira enough respect to where even though I think Arman wins the fight by decision, I think, him at, plus 3.5 number at plus 120 is very interesting, Charles Oliveira. But, I like Arman to win a decision here. I'm going to give him enough respect where I don't think he finishes Charles. I think Charles stays alive. He tries to finish Arman on the ground, but Arman just finds a way to stay safe. But Arman's not at the Islam spot where Islam could find the finish. I think Arman struggles there and doesn't, gets it done by decision. So that's my take. JBC, I know he's going to like Arman, probably by finish. Talk to us why you like him here.
This is the exact same fight as Jalen Turner and Moicano. Exact same. Okay. Charles Oliveira is not better than Arman Tsarukyan at anything at all. He's got nothing for him.
I'm not saying that he's better than him on the feet, but I think he's closer, like way closer than Jalen Turner versus Renato Moicano. I don't even think that's not crazy at all. The line is the same. The line is the same. But I'm just talking about on the feet, standing. You think that Charles isn't as close?
Is going to fucking brutalize this guy. Like Oliveira, I don't really want to take like almost any. Like I just think he's going to get fucking murdered. I'm betting on Tsarukyan.
I'm getting very little Oliveira in like my initial runs, and I boosted him quite a bit just for he's obviously a submission threat, but yeah, well, I think again,
I do think that if you faded Charles Oliveira in DFS, that's gonna make you different because people are going to shove this dude. I wonder what Dan, what do you have him at projection wise, like ownership projection right now?
I'm at 26, but I do think
I'm going over 30, 35. I think that's the public, everyone loves this dude, and everyone I think wants him to beat Arman. No one likes Arman. No, the fans aren't rooting for Arman. Charles Oliveira is going to be the fan favorite in this fight.
Joe Ruff just said Arman hasn't fought anyone. Arman fought fucking Islam Makhachev.
He did.
Like, what are you talking about?
And he went the distance with Islam, which, I mean, honestly, that should be said for something, right? Going the distance with Islam. I mean,
yeah, dude, he's going to fucking murder him. And everybody's going to be so sad, and I'm going to be so happy.
The problem with that fight is Islam can outdo Arman on the ground. Like, that's the problem. Like, Arman needs that ground. He needs that advantage on the ground, right?
Yeah.
He has that against Charles. The only problem is Charles is dangerous, in the guard, like on his back. Like, he's very dangerous. He's going to try and throw up subs because I do think Charles is going to go out there and try and finish Arman. Like, they're both going to go out there trying to finish each other. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think that, they both tire out trying to, finish each other. And then it just, finishes out with, Arman winning a decision. But, I get it. So from DFS, are you guys under on Charles Oliveira or fading?
Yeah. I'm not fading. I'm going under.
Definitely under.
And Arman, Dan's got Arman at 31%. I think that might end up being a little high just because of how popular Oliveira is. I think people will hesitate to click on Arman, and I am absolutely not hesitating to click on Arman.
Yeah, I don't think Arman's going to be afraid to shoot, jump at his guard. Like, I don't think so. That's good from a DFS side because you want takedowns, right? You want the control.
He's going to end this fight quick.
Yeah,
because the other thing is,
very confident about this.
He needs to make a statement in order to get the rematch with Islam, and he's going to do it.
He deserves the rematch with it. I mean, he's the only, he gave Islam outside of Volk the first time that Volk lost. He's the only one that posed an actual threat in some way, gave him some issue.
And he was also only 22 when he fought him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're talking. This was back in, was it 2019?
2019.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking that. Yeah, I agree with you. I do think he wants to fight him again. He does need to make a statement. I hope he wins. That fucking Armenian. We root for each other. We don't root against each other. So I'm pulling for him. I'm going to be under on Charles just because I think he's going to be too high owned for, I could even see it pushing 40. Like I really believe that he's got that type of popularity.
I love that so much.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the next fight. The best fight on the card from, I think, a fan perspective, 100%. You got two absolute killers here in Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway on this card here. By far, from an excitement standpoint, I think it should be the last fight on the card. Honestly, I know why it's not, but it should be. It's that type of fight here, and I think it's an absolute war. You got Justin right now sitting at a -148 favorite here. And JBC, I'll throw it to you first because I know you're on the other side. Talk to us why you like Max Holloway.
Very, very difficult to put Max Holloway out. Justin Gaethje wins these fights not by having some sort of technical advantage over his opponents, but by knocking them out. I mean, look, he was losing the Poirier fight before he knocked him out. If I don't think he can knock Max out, and Max is arguably the greatest striker in the history of UFC. And I don't think Gaethje is going to try and wrestle. And so if Gaethje doesn't try and wrestle, he's going to get pieced the fuck up for 5 rounds and lose.
Yeah, I love Justin Gaethje. I love your breakdown, though, because I think it is somewhat similar where Gaethje's going to go for finish. I mean, the way he fights. He's going to go for finishes. He'll honestly, even when he's tired, that's the impressive thing about Justin Gaethje. He'll tire himself in like 2 rounds trying to get the finish, but he's still like there. You know what I mean? He still has power even when he's tired. So like that's not something I worry about, like him gassing out against Max. But I do think if he doesn't do the damage needed against Max, he's going to lose a decision to Max because Max is going to do he's going to do the volume. Like he's going to win the volume. I already know it. Like he's going to win the volume. And so I think Justin's only path is to win the damage or finish him. And finishing Max is just, man, I want to sell myself on it. But until you see it, it's just tough to be like, yeah, it's going to happen. I don't think that's what happens here. So I think he needs to do significant damage to win some of these rounds because I don't think he's going to out-volume him. And so, I started the week thinking I'm 100% on Gaethje. But, man, I think Max might have the edge. And as the dog, I think I'm going to lean Max here. I hate to say it, but I agree with JVC. I think he's right. I think it needs to be something where, like the Poirier fight is a good example of how it needs to go, I think. The Max Poirier fight is a good example of how it would need to go for Justin to win.
But Poirier could actually compete on the feet with Max, and he just won because he's bigger than him. And Gaethje cannot box with Max. Like, they're not in the same league.
No, but Gaethje's he's got insane kicks. He's got insane power. He could do damage to Max. Even if he can't, like, compete, he can do, like, significant damage to where he could win some rounds on damage. I just don't know if he's going to win enough to win a decision here. And I do think this fight goes to decision. So if I think this fight goes to decision, he wins the volume, I got to lean Max.
I just want to answer this question from a viewer. And he said still newish to being a UFC fan. Have these two really never fought each other yet? Because they're in different weight classes. Max is coming up to fight Gaethje.
Yep. Yeah, so 2 different weight classes. Max is coming up 10 pounds, right, JBC? 10 pounds?
Yeah. And it's funny because Max had to get the towel out. Max had to get the towel out, even though he thought it was going to be an easier cut than it was, I guess.
Yep, but he got it. I mean, he got it.
Fine.
So, yeah, Max more volume. Has Max ever been knocked out? No.
No, knocked down. He said knocked down.
He's never been knocked down either.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if McGregor knocked him down, but no.
Has he never been knocked down?
No, I don't think so.
It's just, I mean, listen, Justin Gaethje is insane, but man, that's wild. He's never been knocked down. That's just absolutely crazy. Dan, did you give your take here on this fight?
I didn't, but it is very much the same as JBC's. Are you sensing a theme here? I swear we didn't prepare together, but
you guys sound like you held hands before you came on this show. My God, they might hold hands in Vegas.
That was yesterday. It was the hand holding.
Today, you guys are arm in arm. Well, you just arm in arm for the whole night tonight, dancing around. Yeah. But I'm on the Holloway side with you. So finally, we found a fight where all three of us are back on the same side here. But
I got my
gonna be a
Holloway
sick
shirt.
fight.
I'm ready.
I also think
JBC is like definitely one of the bigger Holloway fans that I've ever met. He loves Max Holloway.
Holloway's definitely live to the finish as well.
Yeah, Holloway could put some fucking damage on him, but it would be later in the fight.
I think he can finish him like round 4, round 5.
When Gaethje gets tired,
when he gets tired,
the thing where he wobbles and he's just throwing like he's going back and forth.
Well, Gaethje's a savage. Like he's also tough to just like get out too. So
he probably knock him out while he's still on his feet. He won't go down.
Like the ref will have to like stop it. He's like just hanging there throwing. The ref just has to come in. Like,
right. Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely how it would happen. But all right, let's go to the last two fights here. We got Weili Zhang and Yan. I'm just gonna call her Yan. I can't pronounce her last name, so I'm just gonna go with Yan here. 7K for Yan. Weili at 9,200. I mean, I think clearly Weili is the best DFS play on the card. I think she murders Yan. I don't care where this fight goes. I think she wins, but I think she's going to get the fight to the ground. I mean, we've seen Yan literally get owned on the ground in multiple fights, and not just in losses, in her wins, like that win against Mackenzie Dern where she won the fight. Yan definitely won. It was 3 rounds to 2. But let me tell you, the 2 rounds she lost, Mackenzie Dern absolutely owned her on the ground for a long period of time, and she struggled. And I know Mackenzie Dern's great, but it's not like she has like great takedowns or anything. She got her to the ground, though. When she got her to the ground, it was just kind of easy transitions and damage and you know, lots of strikes. And I think Weili's going to do that to her. I think she's going to get this fight to the ground. I think she's going to rack up a ton of fights. Try and finish her with ground and pound. Yan showed really good submission defense against Dern. That was one thing I thought was very impressive against someone like Mackenzie Dern for how long she was down on the ground in those 2 rounds. She didn't get subbed. That was pretty impressive to watch. So I think if she loses and gets finished, I think it's Weili by ground and pound. And I think, you know, that's something that could happen here. So Weili's my favorite DFS spend. It's not even close. I'm going to be pretty much all in on her in DFS. So I'm not going to have any Yan here. Yan's like best chance is to keep this standing and to use her speed and striking, you know, but man, Weili's kicks are just so good. She's so well-rounded. I think it's just a tough spot for Yan here. Dan, I see you kind of shaking your head a little bit. I think you agree with me here. What do you got?
I definitely agree with you. But like you said, Jan's best chance is on the feet. And if she wins, I think it will be inside the distance. I think she's going to have to knock Weili out. And I think regardless of what round that happens in, she's going to be a very strong contender for the optimal. So I think she's a super strong contrarian play. Like, we don't really have to talk all that much more about Weili. She's like the best play on the slate. She's elite. But that's going to come with a ton of ownership, which is correct. But, you know, if you've got Yan, you know what, we have her at like 13. I could even see her coming in lower than that just because people are going to go so hard on Weili. So yeah, I mean, I like this fight a lot. When it comes to the 3 5-round fights, I'm probably going to have 100% of Max Gaethje and also 100% of this fight. Or close to.
I was going to say, with your take, I assumed, and Dan is known for this. He likes to go all in these 5-round fights. Are you going all in on all 3 5-round fights? Will you just have like?
So we discussed this yesterday. I think the most likely outcome is that the optimal lineup has 3 5-round fights, but it doesn't really give you all that much maneuverability, and it leaves you like pretty underexposed to a lot of spots. So I think the way to go there is definitely locking in 2 of the 5-rounders and then I'm not sure quite what the split is going to be, but it'll
I think most will do, right, Dan?
I think people don't end up taking the Pereira fight.
Well, and I think that is the one. I mean, that's the one that's like least likely of the three to be optimal, especially if Pereira wins, because he, low volume, but like powerful and accurate. So
and it could happen in the second or third round.
Yeah, if you're getting a third round Pereira finish, that's probably not going to cut it. Jamal Hill, even though I think Pereira wins, Jamal Hill is like far and away the better.
98, he scored 98 against Yuri. That was the second round KO.
Right.
Would you take 98?
You get 70 for the second round.
98's not enough.
It's
you
not
don't think 98's enough?
No, not on this card. But I want to relate it back to this fight. I think that Wei Li, while she obviously is an amazing play, I think there is significant downside if Jan is even able to, like, say first round, Jan's able to stay on the outside a little bit. Maybe Wei Li still wins the round but doesn't do any real damage and then knocks her out in round 2. Wei Li's not optimal. So there is significant downside there that I think doesn't really exist with Bo Nickal. And so I like Bo Nickal as a play over Wei Li for that reason. Other than losing the fight outright, I don't see how Bo Nickal doesn't just win right off the rip. And Wei Li could have 2 rounds where nothing really happens and then knock her out.
Yeah, I just don't. The way Wei Li's been fighting, I think it's a bad spot for Jan after you've seen Jan get exposed on the ground in multiple fights. Like what Wei Li's been doing, I just don't see why she wouldn't just go right back to it. So I get what you're saying, but the upside for this girl to score
the upside is the most.
50 to 190 in a decision win, like, I mean, it's just crazy. So I can't fade it. I think it's takedowns. I think it's control, ground and pound. A ton of those strikes Dan was talking about where it's just little pats on the side where they're not doing that much, but they're adding up. Yep. And I mean, I find it tough to fade, but yeah, it's a good fight for DFS 100%. I think people should be heavy on it. Whatever. I mean, if you think Jan wins, you should play her.
Jan could also be optimal in a loss at how cheap she is in a 5-rounder. If she scores, 50, Dan won the MME a few weeks ago with the 50.
I just think there's too many live dogs to have a loser be on. But yeah, I guess if a loser wins,
if a ton of favorites win, you never know. Also, if you need Bo Nickal, Kayla, and if you need Bo Nickal and Kayla, then yeah, I mean that would change it too.
I mean, the thing about the favorites and the dogs on this slate too is that it's sort of unique from your regular slate because these lines have been out for so long. So they're probably much closer to efficient than they are on any other week because he's been out for like months now.
Yeah, it's a good point. All right, let's get to the final fight on the card. I just want to remind people, RPS 15 gives you 15% off. Sign up by Sunday night. Anytime from now to Sunday night, you'll get into a drawing we'll pick one person who signs up between pretty much this whole week, who signs up $500 plus some Masters gear, courtesy of Rumpier Sports, to one member who signs up. Use that code RPS15, get you 15% off. Anything, single sports, the whole package, you name it. Any of those packages will work. And check us out. We got all the MMA content. Should be posted by the end of tonight. So come check all the content we got over on the website. All right, final fight here, boys, to talk about. We got Pereira and Hill. Hill coming off the Achilles injury. I think it was around 9 months ago, which is going to definitely caution people on Hill. And right now he's sitting as a dog. Pereira is a minus 125 favorite here in this fight. And I'm just going to say it. I've seen Pereira get wobbled in multiple fights, seen him get put out. I know he's got nasty leg kicks. I know that's going to be his game plan. Heavy leg kicks to the guy that just had Achilles tendon surgery, 9 months ago or whatever it was. But man, I just think Jamal Hill's the better fighter. I think he's the better fighter. I think that 7,900, I think he puts Pereira out. I think he puts him out early too, first round or second round. I think finish for this guy. And Jamal Hill, I think he could do whatever he wanted. If he wants it to go to the ground, I think he could take it to the ground on Alex Pereira. I think he could win in a standing match. You know, the only thing that worries me at all is the leg kicks. But man, I think he's going to get work done on the feet. I think he's going to put it on Alex Pereira, who is lower volume. And I think he's going to put him out. I think he's going to put him out with one of those straight rights, just right straight to his friggin' noggin, just put him right down, and then either ground and sub finish or his lights are out. So I love Hill here. I'm going to play a lot of him at 7,900, and I'm definitely betting him as a dog here at plus money. JBC, I see you nodding your head. You like sweet dreams with me.
Yeah, I agree. He's better. He's a better MMA fighter. The only time we've ever seen Jamal Hill look vulnerable was in his one loss, which was to fucking Paul Craig, which is as different from Alex Pereira as you can possibly fucking get. And Paul Craig would probably fucking beat Alex Pereira because he couldn't fucking handle the fucking bullshit that Paul Craig does. But, you know, I just don't, like, Pereira's not going to do anything remotely similar to that. Hill has not looked vulnerable at all in any of his fights other than that one. He and Pereira, as you spoke on, it has gotten wobbled by little Izzy's tiny compared to Jamal Hill. Tiny.
Izzy put his lights out, man.
Exactly. Like, if Jamal Hill catches him, he's going down. And I just don't see, Jamal Hill's a lot younger than him. You know, how is Pereira a favorite in this fight? I don't understand.
And the way he stands with his hands and stuff, because obviously he's a kickboxer and stuff, but those like straight rights, like right down the middle, Jamal Hill is going to hammer him with those. Just like Glover, he beat the shit out of Glover.
He beat the shit out of Glover.
Like beat the shit out of him. And right then and there, I was like, all right, I'm not betting against this guy. Like he's the man. I'm not betting against him. And I just refuse to do it here. Like I literally think Pereira's one shot is just those leg kicks. And I can't just say just because of leg kicks that a guy who is literally not as good anywhere else is going to beat another fighter like Jamal Hill. I just refuse to do it, even with the Achilles surgery. I'm going with him. Dan, I assume you're on our side because you and JBC have linked up on every bet. But I got to ask, are you on our side here?
No, I'm definitely on Pereira here. I think, you brought up like Izzy knocked him out. That was down at middleweight, now he's up at light heavyweight. He's not making that cut anymore. We spoke before about how cuts can affect your chin. Jiri did have him hurt, but, he came back and he won that fight. He knocked Jiri out. And then just, Jamal Hill has never looked vulnerable. But if you put Jamal Hill's resume side by side, Glover, the 40-year-old Glover Teixeira notwithstanding, you put their resumes side by side, and it's like not even fucking close, dude. It's like Jamal Hill over here.
Right. Jamal Hill didn't lose in Jungle Fight.
Jimmy. That was the one. Yeah, you brought that up when we were talking earlier. I said something about like he hasn't lost it, blah, blah, blah. And you were like, well, there's the one. I was like, oh, I'm sorry I missed this fucking fight in Jungle Fight. But, the Jungle Fight notwithstanding, I mean, you put these two guys' resumes next to each other. It's like, yeah, no shit, Pereira has looked vulnerable and gotten hurt at times. He's fighting, Israel Adesanya and Sean Strickland and Jan Blachowicz and Yuri, like Jamal Hill is over here fighting Jimmy Crute and Johnny Walker. Like, give me a fucking break.
Johnny Walker out. He put him on skates and wobbled him to death. I mean,
I also just think, like Pereira, he's got the one shot power, and I think he finds it, and I think he knocks Hill out.
Dan just hates the fat guys, man.
No, Jamal, you didn't see him.
I love you.
You didn't see him. He was flexing to Sanko in the weigh-ins.
He's not bad anymore. I didn't see this.
He was sitting, and they were talking about his belly back when the fight was announced, like a couple months ago. And he sat back. He kind of like opened his shirt a little bit, and literally was just sitting there. He's like, I got a 4-pack right now, like just looking at Laura Sanko because she was talking about his belly, him and DC's bellies like wobbling and stuff. It was so funny. So yeah, I don't know how you can go against my man Jamal Hill. He's ready. He's got the swagger.
Pereira's going to sleep, baby.
He's going to sleep.
I will not be surprised either way. I think it's a really close.
Don't you walk back? Don't you walk back this game?
No,
we're on Pereira.
Listen, it's a close fight. I'm on Pereira.
Jamal Hill is gonna kill this man.
Me and JBC. It's finally JSU and JB. Somebody with JSU on their side against someone else on this show. It only took us to the last fight, but Sweet Dreams putting him out on the card. All right. We do got to get out of here. I will say that we're going to have all our bets posted. JVC is going to drop all of his bets. I'm going to drop my whole card. It'll all be posted. So anyone who's a sub will get those bets for the MMA or, obviously the bet side. But JVC, let's give our favorite bet on the card here. Just one bet. Don't give them all. Just one bet that you love the most.
Yuri.
Dan,
Yuri money line.
Your favorite bet here on this card?
Yeah.
Max Holloway.
Max Holloway. That's your favorite bet? Damn, confidence. I like that. Jamal Hill money line plus 105. Get it while it's plus money,
that
baby. He's putting
right there
him
is
out.
About to. That 3-teamer is paying.
There we go. I like that. I'm going to put that 3-teamer in right when we get off this show here. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. Hit the like button if you did on your way out. Come subscribe. Get over to Run Pure Sports. RPS 15's the code. Get all of Dan, JBC, myself, Big T, Christine, all of our bets, our DFS content. Get it all over there. RPS 15. Get you 15% and come join the winning crew. All right. So with that, we'll see you guys hopefully in the Discord. For JBC, for Dan, I'm JSU. Let's fucking kick ass tomorrow and hopefully ship UFC 300. Everyone enjoy it. We're out.